And when John got up there with his raggedy duffel bag ready to leave and Carolyn dropped to her knees and begged him to stay, I almost shed a tear. Get it, don't be timid when you ain't it, love up on it, give along, need it. I don't want no trip, baby, spend like it's My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related, and I am here to put you on, okay? You guys, welcome back, sweet peas. I hope everyone has had an amazing week. We are back to talk love story. I'm verklempt. I'm left broken and almost without words, but not quite. You guys, this episode really, more than pushing kind of the story further, this was kind of like an in-depth character study of both Carolyn and John. All of the scenes that we saw this episode were between the two of them, really sharing parts of their lives over a year from last episode, right? And so we're getting into the thick of it, and we're really seeing the conflicts that are arising. We're seeing the differences. We're seeing the people I think that they've always been, but now it's just really, really brought to the forefront. Initially, as the episode opens, Carolyn is puff passing, all right? Puff passing, billowing clouds of smoke, honey. They were giving us editorial realness this entire episode. Every still that they pull from this episode is magazine worthy. Beautifully shot. They played a lot with shadows and light in this episode, and I think doing a really good job to show that neither one of these people were perfect. Both of these people had major flaws that they brought into the relationship that were ultimately just magnified as we're getting deeper into really knowing each other. So after we see her in all manner of puff pass in the loft, we're really getting into the monotony and the just the mundane day-to-day life of now a married couple, very much giving past the honeymoon period. And he wants to dance to This Is No Ordinary Love because they're going to push that, honey. Sade was his absolute favorite. And now we're getting into the aftermath of last episode, which was really Carolyn now making a decision that I'm not going to pop up at every event. All right, buddy, I'm not going to do it. That's not the life that I want. They play in my face. They hate me. You're America's son, but I'm the one being hated. So I'm taking a back seat. And so he's like, I miss you at all of these events, because basically his social calendar ain't going to stop. At one point in the episode, I was like, well, damn, John, do you have time to breathe? Do you have time to wipe your behind? Like, everything is an event. Everything is a social event. And I want you to be a part of that world. And Carolyn's like, no, I've been out there and I don't like it outside. I'm inside. And John can't wait to get back outside. That's his life at this point, and that's what he loves. And ultimately, when we get into this first conversation, I immediately think, John, you're guilting her. You're guilting this lady. At no point is it ever like, oh, Carolyn, I can really understand where you're coming from, and I get it. I live this life. It's not for everybody, but how can I support you, right? Which is what he said he was going to do, right? When mama said, don't leave my baby in the front seat by herself, make sure to prioritize her. Don't have her out on a limb by herself, Rita Louise Watson. But now that's exactly where she's at. And it's very much giving you the expectation when I married you was for you to pop up at these events and to be there. I didn't get married so I could walk in these rooms alone. I needed a cute piece of arm candy, right? To be there to fill in the spaces, fill in the gaps, because I don't want to answer all these extra questions, but I'm not going to stop my social calendar because you feel uncomfortable. He says it's really hard at this point to keep track of all of her excuses and what he's told people. And she's like, listen, I ain't got it to do, John. I like it. I like it in this apartment. I like it in this loft. This is my life now. So she has really at this point become a full-on hermit. And I think we saw that coming. And he says, you know what? I'm not guilting you. And again, John, that's exactly what you're doing, baby. You're putting the pressures on her that you felt your entire life. And I thought that was extremely telling, because it kind of goes into that idea that when you are raised and you're cultivated in a certain environment, you begin to adopt those things that you at one time in your life hated. And now you're projecting and pushing them onto other people. She takes a moment, takes a beat. He done brought the KFC in, and she's like, listen, I think we just need a vacation. And she's like, Paris, Belize, Tahiti, Fiji, let's go. And he's like, we have the Cape next week. And she's like, the Cape is not a vacation. We got to listen to Ethel. We got to have the board. I can't have coffee. We got to stay up. Ain't no TV in the day. She said, I can't sleep in. Every moment is accounted for. And that's not the life. He's like, yeah, but that's just the norm. That's just the norm. And who wants to watch TV in the day? You want to live your life and live it out loud. And I think at this moment, Carolyn's just like, I just want to be. And I want just being to be enough. Can I just exist? Can I just live without all of the pressures, without all of the expectations? And I really enjoyed how the episode got into some things that I know the audience was feeling. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But again, she feels like she's on display. Everywhere I go, I have to keep a drink in my hand. Otherwise, they think I'm pregnant. So I'm taking shot o'clock every time. And I just can't deal with it, right? Midnight clam bakes, she said it's diabolical to eat clams in the middle of the night. So as it progresses, she gets a call from her sister, Lauren. And I'm thinking, oh my Lord, what in the hell, Lauren? She's like, you're scaring me. What happened? Lauren's like, we turn on the news and it's the news of Princess Diana and the accident. And of course, early on, we don't know that she's passed. And John comes up. Carolyn is glued to the TV because at this moment, you can really tell, I feel this. This is the paparazzi, what they're doing to me here, and it killed her. John immediately retreats, which we've seen him do a couple times. We saw him do it with Anthony last episode. It was like, let me go collect myself. Let me get out of this space and let me regroup so I can... Let me put on the mask that I wear. So he's like, I need to go for a run. And Carolyn's like, what? Wait. And I thought this was so indicative of what we've seen in their relationship up to this point, where he's made promises that I'm going to be with you. I'm going to cover you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there. But every time things get hard, there's a flight response. Let me leave. I got to go. I got to get out of here. So he goes for a run. I think there's things he doesn't really want to face. He really doesn't want to deal with. And we get into that when we get into the conversation after he gets back from his run. So he gets back and Carolyn is visibly shaken and distraught. And she is like, listen, this is terrible. I can't take it. She was their princess and they killed her. And now we're here. John's worried about a damn glass in the dishwasher. Are the dishwasher clean? And so this deflection, this flight response is what we're getting from him. And he comes back and he's like, man, I just can't. And she's like, John, this is serious. I want to know how you feel. Look at her boys. That was you. That was your life. Don't act like you, Carolyn. Don't act like you. My life. It's totally different. We are not the same. They were princes. John, you're America's prince. What are you saying here? And it's like he really didn't want to sit in it or even talk about it. But at one point, he's ultimately forced to. And so we get into this conversation around, well, if that's not what your life was, John, what was it like? He says, I was 3. I don't even remember my father. But what I do remember was the death of my mother. I remember my mother being in a trance and locking herself up in the room. And why couldn't she just play with me? Why couldn't she just be a mother? I didn't just lose a father. I lost both of them. And I went on this run to take my mind off the fact that you're reminding me of that right now. I'm losing you to this loft and you not wanting to go outside and be present in the world. You don't want to live your life. And now that you've seen this, I fear that's what the rest of our lives are going to be like together. And she has to sit with it for a moment and she has to commiserate. And while I felt everything that he said and I felt like it was real, I felt like the emotion was real, there's still a part of me that sees him as still that same 3-year-old little boy. And I don't want to say that this is a manipulation tactic, but whenever anything gets really intense, at least from what we've seen on the show, he's going to revert to a point of almost claiming victimhood. And I won't negate or take away anything that he's been through because that's tragic. Having a father assassinated, losing so much, and the fear of losing her as well. But I think also it was about not wanting to face the reality of this. Because at no point does he say, change needs to be made with the way the paparazzi does something. At no point does he say, Carolyn, I deeply understand this. He says, I get the parallels, but damn it, you can't let this stop your life. And if I start watching, I won't be able to stop. It was a real moment. But again, in every curve, both between her and him, there's always a tinge of manipulation that I feel in these conversations as we go forward. But you guys drop it in the comments and let me know what you think. John is not cool. He's not. Then we get into some more editorial shots because, again, this was a purely aesthetic episode. They were going for aesthetics here and it worked. I loved everything about it. And now we have a 1-year time jump and Lord, he's hobbled. He's hobbled and we're seeing the aftermath of a dinner party. And I think that was so symbolic of where we're at in their relationship. We're really just sitting in the aftermath, in the cleanup phase of things, or really the mess of it, if you think about it. So apparently we entertained her friend group and she says, you know what? I hate when you delineate between my friends and your friends. And this conversation, we're back to the same place. You don't want to go outside. So listen, I got to bring the people in the house because you're not leaving the house. And she says, you know what? I don't appreciate you begging everybody for a job for me. I don't want to work for Petra. Petra is a jeweler. I was a publicist. I was in PR, baby. I was not. He said, but that's fashion, Calvin Klein fashion. And she says, I worked in PR. Do you even know me? And John is like, look, I'm just tired. Let's go out. It's only 11 o'clock. Let's hit the town because John gonna be outside. Baby, he's outside. He don't play no games. He's like, I need to be outside. You know what this is. And listen, I know I'm bringing it up at every party and I'm shoving it down people's throats, but you need to find something to do. You need a hobby. And she said, can I just be? I've been working since I'm 15. I'm only 33, John. Why do I have to have it all figured out? And I think he wants her to have it all figured out because the expectation has always been for him to have it figured out. In this conversation, we find out that he has officially started a Senate run. And is she supportive? Listen, I support you, John. And so now we're starting to get into what we're feeling in the dynamic of the relationship. She feels like I just can't be with you. The expectation is that I have to perform. You wanted a trophy. You wanted all of those things. You don't even like being in my company at this point, baby. You don't like me. And stop playing with that candle, John. I'm trying to talk to you. He's playing with the flame on the candle. And he says, listen, you can be somebody. You can go somewhere if you wake up and pay attention. My mom, at 46 years old, went from an avid, voracious reader to a publisher. You can do that. I don't want to do that, John. And your mama was a widow. Don't talk about my mama. She said, you brought her up, John. Well, you know what? My mama would have never wanted me to encourage me to be with you anyway. That's why I never introduced you. What? Again, this man who always presents as the nice guy really has found all kinds of ways to demean and to pick at her. So that was a dagger right there because my mama wouldn't have even liked you, Carolyn, if we want to get technical while you talking about people mamas. And she said, and I should have listened to my mama. My mama told me I should have never gotten with you in the first place. And he says, when she say that in her speech at the wedding, she told me. He said, and we get into this match about you don't like me. You don't want to be my presence. There was a time, John, where you loved to know what I was thinking. You don't consult me. He's like, you know what? I'm trying to work on the magazine. I tried to be a lawyer and I feel like I failed at everything that I've tried in my life. And now I'm feeling at this and I just can't do it anymore. Where are my cigarettes at? And she says, listen, before you try to hobble up them steps, all right, let me go and find you some. He can't find, so they can't chain smoke. Eventually they find it and they hobble their way over to the window and they're having conversation now. And again, we're going through this conversation and there's just so much hurt and so much vitriol being spewed between them that it really makes you feel like, well, damn, did y'all Like, was this ever a healthy, centered situation? Did we ever decide to go get couples therapy or counseling? And I understand there was a real time, but we also know she's been on that lady's couch. So we know that they knew about therapy and had the access to it. So where are we at with it? Ultimately, she says that marriage to you was a layover between where you were and where you wanted to be. And he says, listen, it's hard for me to see how unhappy. She's, I think it's hard for you to see how unhappy you make me. And he said it is, because apparently I can't make anyone happy. And again, I just think this was such a great representation of conversations that people have, not just in romantic relationships, but in friendships as well. A lot of times we're not listening to understand, we're listening to respond, and we're listening to throw blows because I'm hurt. I need to find a way to get some of that out and maybe inflict some hurt upon you. And so it gets really nasty in this moment. And ultimately he says, listen, I gotta go. I can't do this anymore. And when I tell you, this lady dropped to her knees. John, don't leave me, John. If you leave. He says, listen, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight you. You have to fight for me. And I get it and I don't get it, because in this moment she's begging him, don't leave me. If you leave me here in this loft tonight, there's nothing more that'll hurt me more than any words that you can say. Him on the other side, he's like, I can't do any more of this word salad. I can't take anymore. And if I stay, I'm going to say some things I can never, ever get back. And I'm like, well, damn it, y'all done already went to the hilt with it. And so she's begging, please don't leave, John. Please, baby, I'm begging. And he's like, you got to go. He's like, I won't be gone long. Let me kiss you on the forehead and I'm going to head out. And I think, again, this is his response over and over and over and over that we've seen in this series. When things get tough, he's definitely going to retreat. And he says later on in this episode, I've been hedging my bets this entire time. I've lived a life where I have been bracing myself for the worst possible outcome because I knew that I am all I have to fix it. All I have is me, ultimately, and I thought that would be different. But sure enough, John done abandoned her in that front seat. Mama warmed up again. And y'all know my hope was that we were going to at least see a moment where they got to rest in some sort of happiness and some sort of peace. And I fear we're not going to get there because the people had already called. He's trying to book the flight instructor because he's 40 plus hours short of instrumentation training. And we all know where this is going. So he's packed his raggedy duffel bag and he's headed over to the hotel, and she's left begging in the middle of the floor. There were a couple of moments of emotion for me. I think going back with Princess Di, that was touching. The realization of John not just losing a mother and a father when his father was assassinated was another moment. And then at the end, I think how ugly the argument got, and then that there was no resolve, and John's response and answer was to walk away. It struck some emotional chords this episode. And again, I'm not mad at someone walking away to collect themselves, but I think in marriage, you stick and you stay and you figure it out. You figure out how to be kind and warm to one another. And again, Connor Hines, I think great job. I think the director of this episode did a great job because they're just playing with loose narratives. No one was in those rooms when they had these conversations. And so they're piecing together what they think may have happened based on the results that we saw in public media or friends, family, things like that. But overall, I thought this was a really strong, emotional episode. I think it was a great character study into just two people. Right? Neither a hero, neither really a villain, but just two people existing, both with issues. And out of a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode a strong 8. I enjoyed it, but it was beautiful start to finish. But you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype the video if you have any hype points left. Help your girl out. But thank you so much for being here, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.